do if you found out your husband planned to eat you? Yes, eat you the same way people eat beef. If someone had asked Ashabi that question months ago, she would have laughed until tears rolled down her cheeks. Today, she wished she had never fallen in love. Ashabi met Chidi on her very first day at work. She was nervous, clutching her employment letter as she searched for the human resources office. Then, someone accidentally bumped into her, sending her file tumbling to the floor. "I'm so sorry," the young man said quickly. As he bent to gather the scattered papers, their eyes met. Ashabi would later tell everyone that she knew from that very moment that she had met her husband. Love arrived quietly. It smiled, and she smiled back. Chidi was everything she had prayed for. Gentle, patient, soft-spoken. 5 months later, they got married. Her best friend Nancy wasn't convinced. "Ashabi, 5 months?" Nancy frowned. "People still pretend during 5 months," Ashabi laughed. "Nancy, when you know, you know. But marriage isn't akara you're buying because it smells nice." Ashabi wrapped an arm around her friend. "Don't worry, Chidi is different." Nancy could only sigh. "I pray you're right." Marriage with Chidi felt like something taken straight from a fairy tale. Every morning, he woke her up with gentle kisses before placing breakfast on a tray. "Good morning, my queen," he would whisper. Every evening, he came home before she did. Dinner would always be waiting. Sometimes he cooked, sometimes they danced in the kitchen while waiting for the soup to boil. When Ashabi complained about work, Chidi listened. When she laughed, he laughed louder. To everyone around them, they looked perfect. One quiet evening, they sat cuddled together in the living room, while rain tapped gently against the windows. Chidi brushed her hair away from her face. "My family has been asking about you." Ashabi smiled. "Really? My mother especially." "I've always wanted to meet her," Ashabi said. "They want you to spend some time in the village." "Then let's go." "You mean it?" he asked. She nodded excitedly. "I want to know where the man I love came from." Chidi smiled, but for the briefest second. Something strange flashed across his face, but it disappeared before Ashabi noticed. A week later, they began the long drive to Chidi's village. The journey was beautiful. The busy highway slowly gave way to winding roads surrounded by endless green forests. Children waved excitedly as the car passed. Women balanced baskets of oranges and roasted corn on their heads. Goats crossed the road without warning. The air smelled cleaner. The further they drove, the quieter the world became. Ashabi rolled down the window. "I could stay here forever!" Chidi smiled. "I knew you would love my home." For a moment, life couldn't have been more perfect. Hours later, they stopped at a roadside market filled with wooden kiosks. Some women roasted plantain over charcoal fires, others sold fresh fruits. A mechanic repaired motorcycles nearby, while travelers stretched their legs. "I'll get us food," Chidi said. "I'll be right back." Ashabi remained beside the car, admiring the lively market. Suddenly, a frail elderly woman, dressed completely in white, approached her. "My daughter, please, help me." Ashabi searched her bag. "I'm sorry, Mama. I don't think I have." The woman nodded sadly and turned away, limping slowly. Something tugged at Ashabi's heart. "Mama!" The woman stopped. Ashabi hurried over and handed her some money. The old woman held Ashabi's hand tightly. Her cloudy eyes suddenly became sharp. "My daughter, whatever pit you are walking towards, may it not swallow your life." Ashabi blinked. The word felt unusually heavy. Still, she smiled politely. "Amen." The woman released her hand and walked away without looking back. When Chidi returned, the woman had already vanished. The village welcomed them with songs, dancing, and celebration. Children ran after their cars, shouting excitedly. Women elated as they entered the compound. Chidi's mother embraced Ashabi warmly. "My beautiful daughter! We waited so long to meet you." She treated Ashabi like royalty. Every morning, women arrived carrying baskets of fruits, fresh vegetables, palm wine, roasted fish. Some insisted on braiding her hair. Others brought homemade black soap. You will become even more beautiful, they laughed. Within 2 weeks, Ashabi's skin glowed. She had never felt so loved. The village women adored her. One afternoon, they gathered beneath a large mango tree. While peeling vegetables, one woman smiled. Our Chidi chose well. Another nodded. You cook? They asked. Ashabi laughed. I try. What tribe are you? Yoruba. The women exchanged quick glances before smiling again. You speak nicely. You will have beautiful children. Wait. If you want to have beautiful children, please thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and yes, let's go back to the story. Ashabi noticed they often stopped talking whenever she walked closer. Whenever she asked questions about the village, the conversation suddenly changed. At first, she thought nothing of it. Ashabi was kind to everyone, especially an elderly widow who lived alone a few compounds away. She would sweep the woman's compound, fetch her water, cook meals, even massage the woman's aching legs. One afternoon, while they walked together, the old woman suddenly greeted her. Ekason, mommy. Ashabi froze. You speak Yoruba? The old woman laughed. I am from Ondo. You are? I married into this village many years ago. My husband taught me their language before bringing me here. Ashabi smiled happily. Finally, someone she could speak freely with. Days passed and they became closer. The old woman listened more than she spoke. Sometimes she simply stared at Ashabi with sadness. One evening, she finally asked, Do you love your husband? Ashabi smiled. With all my heart. The old woman lowered her head. Then, what I'm about to tell you will break your heart. Ashabi's smile disappeared. The woman leaned closer. This village eats human beings. Ashabi laughed nervously. Mama, I am serious. They marry outsiders. They fatten them and then they become food. Ashabi slowly stood. No, you are Chidi's fourth wife. The other three came from different states. None of them ever returned home. Ashabi shook her head violently. No! My husband loves me. The old woman's eyes filled with tears. That is exactly what the others believed. Ashabi ran home trembling. She watched Chidi laughing with his mother. His smile looked exactly the same. His voice sounded exactly the same, yet everything suddenly felt different. That night, she couldn't eat. Chidi noticed. Are you alright? I just miss home. He held her hand. We'll leave soon. Ashabi forced herself to smile, but sleep refused to come. The next afternoon, she secretly returned to the old woman. What should I do? The old woman looked around carefully before whispering. In 2 nights, they have chosen your day. Ashabi's news nearly gave up. They will ask you to sleep beside your mother-in-law. She will give you a black and white wrapper. That wrapper is the signal. The butchers will know who to kill. Ashabi burst into tears. There must be another way. Can I run tonight? The old woman shook her head. The entire village watches every road before the sacrifice. You want to make it beyond the first room. So what do I do? When your mother-in-law falls asleep, cover her with the wrapper, then pretend to sleep. Ashabi stared at her in horror. And if she doesn't sleep, pray. The next 2 days became the longest days of Ashabi's life. She smiled, cooked, fetched water, laughed with everyone, but inside, fear slowly consumed her. She noticed strange things, men sharpening long knives behind the hut, women whispering whenever she passed. Children suddenly became silent around her. She wanted to scream. Instead, she pretended everything was normal. Finally, the night arrived, exactly as predicted. Her mother-in-law smiled warmly. My daughter, come and sleep in my room tonight. I have missed talking to you. Ashabi forced a smile. Of course, Mama. After prayers, the older woman handed her a neatly folded black and white wrapper. The night will be cold. Use this. Ashabi's heartbeat thundered. Everything the old woman had said was happening. Hours crawled by. Her mother-in-law eventually began snoring. Ashabi waited. 5 minutes, 10, 20, her hand trembled uncontrollably. Slowly, very slowly, she removed the wrapper from herself, covered the sleeping woman, then lay back down. Her eyes remained tightly shut. Every heartbeat sounded like a drum inside her chest. At exactly midnight, she heard footsteps. Many footsteps. The door creaked open. Whispers floated through the darkness. There she is! Without hesitation, the shadowy figure struck. Ashabi squeezed her eyes tight. She wanted to scream, but she remained still. Moments later, silence returned. The procession disappeared into the night. At sunrise, Chidi entered the room smiling. But that smile vanished instantly. His mother lay lifeless. Blood stained her wrapper. "What have you done?" he shouted. The compound erupted into chaos. Villagers accused one another. Some blamed the men, others blamed the women who had carried the ritual. Arguments turned into violent fights. In the confusion, Ashabi quietly slipped away. She ran. She didn't stop. She found the old woman waiting exactly where she had promised. "I knew you would survive." The old woman grabbed her hand. "Come quickly." Using hidden bush paths known only to her, she led Ashabi safely beyond the village. At the edge of the forest, she placed some money into Ashabi's hand. "Start again, but never come back." Ashabi hugged the woman tightly, tears pouring down her face. "You saved my life." The old woman smiled sadly. "No, God did." Ashabi looked back one last time, as smoke rose above the distant village. The place that had welcomed her with song had almost become her grave. From that day onward, whenever someone told Ashabi they had fallen in love at first sight, she simply smiled because sometimes. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed making it. Have you ever heard of a town or a city or a village that eats human beings, whether in Nigeria or outside? Please tell us in the comments your own story. We look forward to hearing from you. And as always, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.